Hello and welcome to Chromatic Transformations Part 4. This video will cover levels 4, 5, and 6 transformations together because there aren't as many transformations in levels 4 through 6 as there are in levels 1, 2, or 3. So Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3 dealt with levels 1, 2, and 3 respectively. Parts 5 and 6, the next parts in this series, will address cycles of progressions when considering all the levels together and how to use the chromatic transformations in various ways to build melodies and to use as solo material and so forth. So a transformation refers to voice leading from one harmonic structure to another. A harmonic structure can have 3 notes, which is a triad that we're utilizing here. And the other harmonic structure that we're utilizing are the 7-note scales. I'm restricting myself to 7-note scales for a number of reasons that we'll discuss in Part 6. A level refers to the distance a scale is from the major scale derived by chromatically altering a specific number of pitches. So level 1 scales, for example, have 1 pitch that's altered from the major scale. And it turns out there are 5 of these scales that are related to the major scale by altering one of their pitches. That is, as long as we're not including those scales that have 2 or more semitones in a row. So level 2 scales have 2 pitches that are altered, and there are 10 of these. These were dealt with in Part 2. And then there are 11 level 3 scales. So level 4 refers to the scales that have 4 pitches altered from the major scale. So if we take G harmonic minor, which turns out to be a level 3 scale, it has 3 pitches altered from the major scale. We could alter one of these pitches. Say we could lower D to D flat. This would give us E flat Hungarian major. So if we continue to change and alter these pitches, again, excluding anything that has 2 or more semitones in a row, it turns out that there are 7 level 4 scales. As before, we're going to build triads from each of these scale degrees, and we come up with these triads. But most of these are redundant, so from levels 1, 2, and 3. So we only want to identify those triads which are going to give us a different color. And it turns out there are only 2 triads that are unique to level 4. And let's exclude everything else. Here are the 2 triads. And so again, going to this progression that we've been utilizing, this tonic subdominant dominant cycle, we can plug in these triads and find out where we can drop them in and what substitutions we can use. So it turns out that A major and B flat diminished are in the tonic and dominant categories respectively. So we're going to continue, before we go to any progressions, we're going to continue to level 5 and level 6 and see what those levels produce for us. So level 5 scales, there are 4 of them. Remember, this has 5 pitches that are altered from the major scale. As before, we're going to build the triads from each of these scale degrees. This is what we come up with. And then we're going to identify those unique triads to level 5. It turns out there are only 3 of them. So as before, we're going to go ahead and drop in those level 5 triads. And again, we see the tonic and dominant categories coming in. So level 6 scales have 6 pitches altered from the major scale. The last coupling there, the B double flat Hungarian major, is enharmonically equivalent to A Hungarian major. So it's the same thing, just spelled differently. So there are 4 pitches that are, or 4 scales that are unique to level 6. And if we build triads from each of those scale degrees, and then we identify those unique triads that level 6 is giving us, it turns out there's only one triad that comes from level 6. And this concludes all the levels, as we're limiting ourselves to 7-note scales, so we can only alter 6 of the pitches unless we change the root. So dropping in level 6, the level 6 triad, we find that it shows up in the dominant category. So now let's combine levels 4, 5, and 6 and take all of those triads and put them into our cycle here, and what we notice is that there are no triads from levels 4, 5, and 6 that are used to substitute for the subdominant chord. It's all the tonic and dominant categories. So if we go through and listen to some of these cycles, this is what we come up with. So we're going to start with, of course, the 1, 4, 5 progression, C, F, and G here. And then we move to A, F, B flat diminished, and C. And then C, F, D flat minor, and C. And we can use F flat augmented as a dominant chord. Or B double flat augmented as the tonic chord. Or D flat diminished as the dominant chord. So that is the end of part 4. Part 5 will be coming soon. Again, what we're going to address next is putting all of these cycles together, or all these levels together in various different cycles, and see what we can come up with. Thank you so much for listening.